I read my fiancée's Bridesmaids group chat and called off the wedding that minute. My name is Daniel, 32M, and up until 2 weeks ago, I thought I was engaged to the love of my life, Madison, 29F. We'd been together for almost 5 years. We met through mutual friends at a New Year's Eve party. She was the beautiful, funny girl with a quick wit and a 1,000-watt smile who could make a room feel warmer just by stepping into it. I was the more reserved, practical type, a software engineer with a decent job, a small social circle, and a habit of planning everything to the hour. Opposites attract, I guess. We worked, or at least I thought we did. Madison and I moved in together after about a year of dating. The first few years were honestly great. We traveled, we laughed, we had our routines. I cooked, she did laundry. I handled the bills, she handled the decorating and social plans. I was never much for drama, and Madison brought energy and light into my otherwise quiet life. But I'm not an idiot. I started noticing things around year 4, subtle shifts. She began going out more often, more girls' nights, more brunches, more late nights at networking events for the marketing firm she worked at. Our intimacy dwindled. She used to tell me everything, and then suddenly there were whole days I felt like a stranger in my own house. I chalked it up to wedding stress. We got engaged last fall. I proposed during a weekend trip to Aspen. Very private, very us. She cried, said yes, and kissed me like it was the happiest day of her life. And I believed it. The wedding was set for the end of June. She handled most of the planning with her bridesmaids. 5 of them, all girls she went to college with, all inseparable. They had a group chat called Bride Tribe. Madison never bothered to hide it from me. Her phone would buzz during dinner and she'd laugh, say something like, "Oh God, Stacy is being wild again," and then put it face down. I never had a reason to check her phone. I trusted her. She knew all my passwords. I knew none of hers. That didn't bother me, until the night I found out who she really was. One evening, while Madison was in the shower and her phone buzzed non-stop, I glanced over and saw my name pop up on her lock screen. Not once, not twice, 3 times, and the preview messages were ugly. I didn't snoop. I opened her phone because she left it unlocked, and the messages were right there. I wasn't looking to betray her trust. I just couldn't ignore it anymore. The chat was active. The girls were talking about the upcoming bachelorette weekend. One of them had posted a meme about marrying the guy who's safe while keeping the guy who's fun. Another responded with Madison's whole game plan. Then Madison replied, "Let's not act like it's not true. Dan's stable AF. You don't marry the guy who makes you come 6 times. You marry the one who pays the mortgage." My stomach turned. I kept reading. "She doesn't even like him like that," one of them said. "She told me she had a sex dream about that. Bartender from her work trip. She's just settling because she's tired of dating losers. Don't blame her, TBH." And then Madison again. "It's not love, but it's enough." It wasn't the insults that hit hardest. It was the cold, strategic way she described me, like I was a safe investment, like I was a placeholder, like I was plan B. I sat there on the edge of our bed, phone in hand, heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon. Her texts were still rolling in, laughing emojis, snarky little jabs about me, more inside jokes I was never meant to see. I should have stopped reading. I didn't. Someone in the group asked, "You ever think about calling it off?" Madison replied, "Not really. I mean, what would I even be waiting for? Prince Charming. At this point, I just want a house and a decent life. I'm not trying. To be 35 and single with a dog and a vibrator." There it was, no passion, no love, just resignation. A calculated move to marry someone safe. That was me. Safe. I don't know how long I sat there rereading those messages. 5 minutes, 10. I heard the water shut off in the bathroom, and my body finally moved. I locked her phone, placed it right back on the nightstand where she left it, and walked out into the living room. My mind was blank, but some deeper part of me, some sharp mechanical survival instinct, had already started formulating a plan. Madison came out in a towel a few minutes later, humming, hair damp. She looked so normal, like nothing had happened, like she wasn't sitting on a digital pile of betrayal and shallow cruelty. "You okay?" she asked, seeing me sitting stiff on the couch. "Yeah, I said. My voice didn't even crack. Just thinking. She came over, plopped beside me, and reached for the remote. Long day? I nodded. Then I looked at her and said, Can I ask you something? Sure, she said. If you weren't marrying me, who would you marry? She laughed. What? Where's this coming from? Just answer. She shrugged, brushing her hair off her shoulder. I don't know, maybe nobody. I'd probably just keep dating until someone better came along. It wasn't a weird answer, but after what I'd just read, it wasn't harmless either. I stared at her for a long second. Do you think I'm the guy you really want? Or just the guy you ended up with? That stopped her, her brow furrowed. What are you talking about? You said I was stable, that I'm not the guy who makes you feel passion, but I'm the guy who pays the bills. Is that really all I am to you? Her eyes narrowed. Did you go through my phone? That reaction said everything. You didn't deny it, I said. Dan, that's private. That's my name in those messages. That's my life, my wedding, my bank account. You're not talking about some celebrity. You're talking about the man you're supposed to marry in 4 weeks. She stood up, defensive now, wrapping the towel tighter. It's just girl talk. You know how it is. Exaggerating, joking around. You weren't supposed to see that. No, I wasn't. But I did. And I finally see exactly what you think of me. Jesus, Dan, you're being dramatic. No, I'm being clear. For the first time, her face changed. The mask slipped. Just enough, her mouth tightened. So what, you want to call off the wedding now? Yeah, I said, standing. Actually, I do. She blinked. Are you serious? Dead serious. You're going to throw away everything. Over. Some texts. No, I'm walking away because you already did. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it again. And then she actually laughed. Oh my God, she muttered. You are so sensitive. No wonder I had doubts. There it was again. That dismissive tone. That ugly truth slinking out of her mouth like venom. The woman I was supposed to marry had no idea what love looked like. Or maybe she did, and she just didn't feel it for me. I went to the bedroom, grabbed my keys, my phone and my wallet. I left the ring box sitting on the dresser. Madison stood in the hallway, arms crossed, watching me go. You're going to regret this, she called out. I turned around. Maybe, but at least I'll regret it alone, on my terms. Then, I shut the door and walked out of our apartment. For the last time. Didn't go to a friend's place. I didn't call my parents. I didn't even stop to process. I drove for 2 hours with no destination in mind, just silence, the hum of the road, and my mind replaying every text message like a broken loop. Eventually, I pulled into a motel off the highway, paid in cash, and sat on the bed staring at the ceiling until the sun rose. I didn't cry. That surprised me. I think I'd already mourned the relationship long before that night. The emotional distance, the forced conversations, the spark that died and neither of us wanted to admit it. I'd clung to the idea of forever because it felt like something solid in a world full of uncertainty. But that night, those messages burned. Ate all down. There was no grief left, just clarity. The next morning I called my best friend, Marcus. He was supposed to be my best man. I told him everything. You serious? He asked, after I explained. Dead serious. Wedding's off. Man, I'll cancel everything, just say the word. I'd never been more grateful for someone having my back. Next, I called the venue, the caterer, the photographer. I explained there had been a change of plans. I took the financial hit. Some vendors gave partial refunds, others didn't. I didn't care. The price of staying in that lie would have been much steeper. By the afternoon, I sent an email to our guests. Short, simple. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Madison and I will not be going forward with the wedding. We appreciate everyone's support and ask for privacy while we both navigate this transition. Daniel. I blocked Madison on everything. No calls, no texts, no chance for her to try and spin it or guilt me into rethinking. I knew myself. I had to burn the bridge completely. She tried anyway. The next day she showed up at my office. Just 5 minutes, she begged the receptionist. Tell him I'm not leaving until I talk to him. I didn't go out. I had security escort her out of the building weeks ago. That night she left a letter on my doorstep. No apology, just justification. You misunderstood. It was out of context. Every girl talks like that. It didn't mean anything. But it did. It meant everything. I tore it up and tossed it in the trash. I wasn't angry, I wasn't heartbroken, I was free. For the first time in 5 years, I wasn't someone's backup plan. I was my own. The ripple effect of a cancelled wedding is something no one warns you about. It's not just ending a relationship, it's untangling a shared narrative that everyone else had already bought into. People don't just ask what happened, they ask why you ruined it. The first call came from Madison's mother. "Daniel," she said, her voice cold, "you owe Madison an explanation. She's devastated." I almost laughed. "Did she tell you what she said about me in her Bridesmaids group chat?" She paused. "She said you snooped through her phone." Of course, that's what she was telling people. That I invaded her privacy. Not that she trashed the man she was going to marry in front of her friends, not that she called me a financial safety net, not that she admitted plainly that she was settling. "I didn't snoop," I said. "It was on her screen and I saw everything I needed to see." "Well," her mother snapped, "maybe if you were more emotionally mature, you could have handled that like an adult." Madison's friends began unfollowing me in droves. Some blocked me. A few sent thinly veiled messages about men who can't handle strong women. I wasn't surprised. They were the ones who encouraged the whole thing. Enablers, cheerleaders of disrespect. My own friends were a mixed bag. Marcus backed me 100%. A few others asked if I was sure I wasn't overreacting. "Man, every relationship has its flaws," one said. "You don't throw away 5 years over a couple of messages." "They weren't just messages," I replied. They were a mirror, and I finally saw the truth. The weirdest part was the silence from Madison herself. After the letter she left at my door, she went radio silent. No big gesture, no emotional plea, no fight for what we had, and that told me everything. She didn't actually want me. She just didn't want to look like the girl who got dumped a month before her wedding. But she did fight in the only way that mattered to her: optics. She posted a photo a week later, her smiling with her bridesmaids, captioned, "Some things fall apart, so better, things can fall together." The comments were a dumpster fire of support, mostly from people who didn't know the truth. "You deserve better, girl." To his loss, men are so threatened by successful women. I didn't comment, I didn't correct the record. Let her have her audience, let her play the role, because in the real world, I had receipts and peace. A few people did reach out in private. One of her bridesmaids anonymously emailed me, "Just so you know, you were never crazy. We told her she was being cruel. She didn't care. You did the right thing." It wasn't validation I needed, but I won't lie, it helped. My family was supportive if disappointed. My mother cried when I told her the wedding was off, but once she heard the reason, she stood behind me. "You don't marry someone who doesn't love you," she said, "even if it's hard to walk away." That line stuck with me. In the months that followed, I moved out of our shared apartment, cancelled joint accounts, deleted old photos. I kept one, a candid of us laughing in Italy, not to remember her. To remember me, the guy who believed wholeheartedly in something real. Madison eventually got a new boyfriend. I know because mutual acquaintances love to stir the pot. "Rebound guy," someone texted me. "Or maybe the guy she wanted all along," I replied. "Doesn't matter either way. Because here's what no one tells you. The day you walk away from someone who doesn't value you is the day your life actually begins." I wasn't sad. I wasn't bitter. I was just clear. And clarity is worth more than any ring, any ceremony, or any illusion. It's been 6 months since I called off the wedding. No grand finale, no dramatic second act. Just life moving forward slowly and quietly without her. In that time, I've learned a few things about love, and even more about myself. I used to believe love was something you earned by being dependable. That if you showed up, stayed loyal, paid the bills and didn't make waves, someone would see you as enough. That belief made me easy to love, but only for the wrong kind of person, the kind who sees stability as leverage, not as value. I've stopped seeing myself as a man who got left behind or humiliated. Because the truth is, I wasn't rejected. I was released, freed from the burden of pretending something still worked, just because the invitations had gone out and the tux was pressed. People romanticize commitment like it's the finish line, but I've learned commitment without respect is just a cage. They're with nice curtains. I don't check her social media anymore. I don't ask mutual friends how she's doing. I don't wonder who she's with. That part of my life is closed, not with anger, just with understanding. I go on walks now without checking my phone. I started playing piano again, something I hadn't done in years. I signed up for therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to figure out why I almost settled for someone who didn't see me. Turns out I had a pattern of playing it safe. In work, in love, in everything. I was always the guy who didn't cause problems, who swallowed doubt, who smiled through discomfort because peace mattered more than being heard. Not anymore. I've reconnected with old friends. I even went on a couple of dates. Not serious, just conversation and coffee. One of them, Claire, asked me something that stopped me cold. What's the one thing you'll never compromise on again? I didn't hesitate. Being someone's first choice. She smiled, nodded, and said, "Good answer." Whether Claire turns out to be something or not doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm finally showing up for myself. The old me would have twisted himself into knots trying to prove he was lovable. The new me. He understands that love doesn't come with caveats. It's not a contract. It's not earned, with income, obedience, or convenience. It's mutual or it's nothing. Sometimes people ask if I regret calling off the wedding, if I miss her. I don't. Not because she was a bad person, but because being with her required me to be someone I no longer recognize, a quieter version of myself, a man willing to settle for being tolerated instead of adored. Now, when I think about marriage, I don't imagine the perfect photos or the guest list or the dress rehearsals. I imagine waking up next to someone who makes me feel like I'm finally home. Someone who doesn't joke about me behind my back to feel superior. Someone who laughs with me, not at me. Until I find that, I'm good on my own. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is that being alone is worse than being unappreciated. It's not alone is peaceful, alone is honest, and alone is a hell of a lot better than being someone's backup plan.